thank all of you for coming out today. I know we're all busy. This is a very, very special day, and the reason we're having this meeting so there's no misunderstandings, we have a very special opportunity that's happening to us right now. That opportunity is for people of color, especially blacks who have been marginalized over the years, have an opportunity for jobs here on the waterfront, thanks to Gene Seroka, CEO of the board. And I can't say it enough. Gene is not just the CEO of the Port of Los Angeles, he's a friend and a trusted friend. So when we know for the things to change here on the waterfront, one of the things we're going to have to do is make things transparent again. We got to make sure that it's equal to everyone for everything that we want to do. And I'm going to back up just a little bit. A year ago, I came to Gene because I've been putting on Juneteenth celebrations here in the harbor area for almost 20 years. And because of COVID, George Floyd situation, the election last year, no one wanted to have a Juneteenth afraid of violence or whatever. I made a call to the Port of Los Angeles. Not only did Gene say, Joe, what do you need? How can I help you? I came in asking for this, believe me. And every time I asked for something, he offered more. Because I love this guy. One of the things that we were able to do about 10 years ago is to have fireworks, because that's our day of freedom. But it costs a lot of money. We did it for 2 years in a row. I said, Gene, is there any chance we could have fireworks on our Juneteenth this year? No problem, Joe. What else do you need? Whoa. I said, I could use a website. What else do you need, Joe? It went on and went on. But before it finished, he said something else that I didn't ask for. He says, Joe, we need equity on the waterfront for not only for jobs at every level, but also contracts. And we're going to work and make this look like all of Los Angeles. I've been working this community, as most of you know, for all my life. This is a first. And to have a partner like this, a $1 billion operation like the Port of Los Angeles, being our support is huge. As you know, next year for our Juneteenth, I'm only going to talk about Juneteenth for a moment. Juneteenth next year falls on Father's Day, Sunday. We're going to end up celebrating here in this harbor for 4 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Finishing it on Monday with a job fair. Huge. Who's my supporter on this? And our title sponsor? The Port of Los Angeles and Gene Seroka. I mean, without even blinking, this is unbelievable. We're getting so much support. Now, with that said, this is the only, right now, major sponsor in the nation for Juneteenth. As you know, Juneteenth became a federal holiday 2 days before Juneteenth last year. And everyone said, whoa. But we already had this relationship with Gene, and Gene, I can't thank you enough. I mean, it means so much. Now, almost everyone in this room or in this area, I know well. And I'd like to be able to introduce all of you, but I need for you to hear from Gene, because one of the things that I hear all the time when I reach out to our community, black community, wherever I go, Wisconsin, Long Beach, watch, no matter where we go, is if you're not from Pedro, you don't get the job. You don't get the contract. It's who you know. Well, Gene made it me believe, and I believe because I trust this man and I know him as well as I know anyone. That's ended. Now we have a vehicle for us to have jobs on the waterfront, a voice on the waterfront, and for us to have a seat at the table. It's a big deal. But it didn't just stop there. We also had the Tall Ships of America came to me and said, we want to do things for the children to get more opportunities on the waterfront. So for a year, we were planning on how do we get kids on the tall ships, teach them how to swim. And I'm going to back up just a little bit. A lot of the kids didn't want to get on the tall ships. You know why? They didn't know how to swim. We got to teach them to swim. We have, for years, the Port of Los Angeles has paid for kids to learn how to, at the Cabrillo Yacht Club, how to yacht, how to sail. Well, one of the requirements, you had to know how to swim. I mean, unfortunately, black kids, especially the girls, don't know how to swim. So there's nothing very easy. There's a lot for us to do. But thanks to Gene, and I can't say it enough, opportunities are there. But I want to go back to the job part of it. That's huge for us. I can't even say it enough. And right now, for you to understand it and feel who this man is, and I said the best way for you to do it is to hear from him. Now, when I first started this, I didn't have a huge corporation. I was just here. Our family's been here forever. And so I ended up starting a corporation, Spalding, Gatlin, and Associates. I mention that because I have two of my leaders of that corporation going to speak for a moment to say what we're doing. But the reason they're going to speak is because it's about jobs and how you as a community connect to those jobs. Also, I'm so blessed to have my cousin here, President Dr. Cheyenne Bryant of the NAACP. And if I went through this room, I could say this to everyone here. I mean, I have friends here that I've been friends for life. I have those that they saw us in a room because we would fight like cats and dogs over things in the community because our passion was so high. But afterwards, we'd be hugging and kissing because we loved our community. There are those who would see me and Janet Gunther together. I don't know if Janet is here. They said, whoa, you guys have to be enemies where you guys would fight over the smallest things, environmental things, but we love each other. I have Ruben Garcia. Everything that touches the black community, I want to say this for example. Ruben is one of those who helps clean up the harbor, but also the toxins in the air. But we know if you live in the black community, there's sections of Los Angeles. If you live there, your life expectancy is 10 to 12 years less for no other reason except for bad air, bad water. But we have a way of cleaning that up, and I want to thank Ruben for coming. He's also on executive board of my NAACP. God bless you. I love you. But I mean, I can go around the room, and it would take forever. I have a lot of family here. We have also an organization, and I want you to really network with each other. Like my cousin Naja, she's also the president of the South Bay National Congress of Black Women, but she also has an organization called Crypto Kids. It gives kids an opportunity to learn so many things which are amazing. They get a laptop, they get a computer, they get this, they get that. It costs hundreds of dollars. But we're going to raise money to make sure they're taken care of. And thank you for being here. I mean, I would talk too long because they said, Joe, you're too long-winded. I don't want to do that. So I'm going to cut back in a moment. I'm going to introduce William. I want William to come up for a minute. I had the pleasure of starting Spalding, Gatlin, and Associates. Spalding is my co-partner, is the oldest Spalding. You know Spalding Sporting Goods, Spalding United Nations. She's very special. But he's going to speak and explain how we as a community can attach ourselves to some of these jobs. And also, Neil introduce Jennifer. Go ahead, please.
Hi, everyone. I'm going to take this off really quick, too. My name is William Mendoza. I'm the Director of Operations for Spalding, Gatlin, and Associates. I'm going to be very honest with all of you right now. I'm a little nervous, not because I'm going to be meeting all of you, but because I can't swim. Yeah, exactly. To give you a little bit of background on what I've done, I'm a kid from Pico Union, born and raised in Los Angeles. And, when I was in grad school, I thought I was going to end up on Wall Street because I wanted to get out of my neighborhood because that was the only option that we had. Long story short, I didn't end up on Wall Street. I ended up down the street working in the nonprofit sector, working in apprenticeship programs, workforce development, and it was probably one of the most intrinsically rewarding opportunities of my life because I was able to see firsthand the changes that we were going to be making with these people who needed help the most. And the rewarding part was seeing their lives change. I'll be really brief. One of the most rewarding moments of that job as an apprenticeship coordinator running Department of Labor approved culinary programs was I saw this young man who went into jail at 16. He was 26 years old, tatted all over, and he was hunched over eating with chopsticks for the first time. And I asked him, he had a big smile on his face. He said, why are you smiling? Well, is the food that you cooked really good? And he looked at me almost watery-eyed, and he told me, he says, I never thought I'd be eating with chopsticks. And that moment, it kind of changed the course of what I wanted to do. With that said, you know, what I'm hoping to bring to this amazing team that we're building is really my background in workforce development and building partnerships and building jobs. So again, the goal is to reintroduce the ports to San Pedro, and then as someone who didn't grow up here, I really want to help reintroduce San Pedro to the rest of LA County. So we're very excited. I'm looking forward to chatting with all of you today and getting to know you and hopefully building those partnerships. And with that said, I wanted to go ahead and introduce Jennifer Catlin, who's going to talk a little bit more about herself and what she's going to be doing with us.
Thank you, William.
Thank you.
Well, I'm going to hold on to this myself. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jennifer Gatlin, and I'm going to be the Director of Program Development for Spalding Gatlin and Associates. My background is in managerial and in training development, curriculum development, and workforce instruction. You know, I don't know if you can feel it, but opportunity's knocking. You can feel it? But you know what? The only way that we can walk through the door of opportunity is being prepared. Isn't that the truth? And not just ready and willing. We're talking about skilled and qualified. That's how we get the jobs. That's how we do it. And so my role at Spalding Gatlin and Associates will be to help facilitate the training programs, to oversee the training programs. And we're going to be able to do that by partnering with you and this community, right? We're going to ensure that we have equity in hiring. Ooh, amazing. Equity in hiring means generational equity, ladies and gentlemen. I have to tell you, this waterfront is my home. 60 years ago, my grandfather, Joe Gatlin, began fighting for equity and fighting for fairness on hiring for this port. And I'm so proud to be a part of my family's legacy, to follow in my father's footsteps for fighting for this community, following in my family's legacy for supporting this community. So I am so excited to meet all of you, and I do certainly hope to talk to every each one of you so we can collaborate and get the jobs for our community. Thank you.
Thank you. And right now, I'm going to apologize because I need to introduce everyone here, but I can't because of time. But there are those that need to be introduced. My right hand for everything I've done for the last 15 years is Melba and Wade Well, because if you need anything, please reach out. I've been on the board at Harvard College for, I don't know, 6-7 years now. And we have Peter Bostic from Harvard College who will also help working here. About 2 years ago, NFL Retired Players Association came to me because they wanted to do a transition from those in prison to get jobs, because 40% of those in the prisons were black. And so Ron Brown from the retired NFL players, he's also here. He's waving his hand. God bless you, Ron. And, where's, help me out here. We got, oh my, KJ, go ahead. Yeah, where is she? I'm sorry. Come here, honey, help me out, because I get tongue-tied here.
I want to also just tell Bob Brown, who is the president of University of West Los Angeles College. It's a law school that I am proudly, I sit on the board for his school alongside Harvard College, and I'm very proud of. I can't leave neither hanging. Bob represents, we plan to have Bob here to do a lot with us when it comes to online courses and online training. A lot of the positions that will be available are going to need training and they're going to need courses. And a lot of folks who are in a position of underprivileged or low income, they don't have the transportation and they don't have the time to be sitting in a classroom or get there. And so what Bob is going to do is add that convenience to our community to say, hey, listen, you can get home and be a mama bear or papa bear, or have to be a full-time working person that is trying to obviously, you know, advance where you are, and you can do that right from the comfort of your home, or you can do it at work on your lunch break. either way it goes, you have the convenience of being able to resume what you're doing and advance yourself, which I always say is a human right, which is for people to have the best quality of life that they can get. And so we have pulled Bob here by his arm and legs, fighting and screaming.
It wasn't hard.
It wasn't hard. And Bob, we're grateful that you have agreed to partner up with us so that we can advance a community that we know, as Joe said, is marginalized. We know there's a lot of disparities in this community. And I think what makes it really awesome is that we're doing this, and I'm going to say it, I'm going to be bold, we're doing this predominantly for the Black community. The reason why it's important to say that is because oftentimes if you say minority communities, a lot of those jobs and those resources get slid between the cracks and crevices and for other minorities, which again, we want to help everyone, but right now we have to be able to help the Black community, which is suffering. Really quick, what makes it amazing is that if you want to lower crime rate, give somebody a job. You want to lower crime rate, give somebody an opportunity to go and fulfill their dreams. Give someone an opportunity to go and become something they never thought they can be. Give them exposure. You want public safety? Homeowners want to see their tax money go to a place that makes sense, that their kids can go to education in schools and become something. Give people a job, give them an opportunity, let them be able to feed their family, and that's how you not only build generational wealth, but you build public safety, you decrease the crime rate, and then you build community. Right now we have neighborhoods, and we need community brought back to our neighborhoods, all right? I'm Dr. Bryant, vote for me. Just joke, it's a joke, it's a joke.
Fantastic.
I love you, baby.
There you go.
Right now, there's so many, everyone I should be, I have cousins here, I have Brotherhood Crusaders here, raise your hand in numbers. It's just so special. This is like, for all of this to happen, what we're talking about, it's not just going to happen because of Gene Seroka, who's amazing, or because the port is here. It's going to happen because of you. Right now, we need you as enablers to go out to the community, let them know what we have here, share this, and let them know that this is a new day, and we can make something very, very special happen. Very special happening. Right now, before we get too far into this, I want to introduce Man of the Hour. This morning I had a meeting with him, but he blew me off because he had to talk to the White House. I'll let it go. I'm getting used to it. But with all that said, but it's someone who means the world to me, and I want to thank him so much for coming out today. His time is so precious, as you know. And again, Gene, thank you.
The formula here is pretty simple. We've got a really big spotlight on us, right? We're on the evening news, we're in the newspapers every day, we're in the media, and it's not something we relish, but it's a responsibility, right? It's a responsibility to tell people the way things are and to say that I don't know what I don't know. So part of this spotlight that's been shined on us, Joe and I thought we could take advantage of. Can we sell this port, this community, this southern Los Angeles enclave to people who might be interested in coming to work here, coming to invest here, coming to bring Black-owned businesses here, whatever the case may be and more. And because that spotlight's on us, we have a unique chance right now. And it's making new friends that can give us advice. It's people that will debate a little bit and make sure that we keep going down this path. But it's about the opportunity in front of us of what's possible. And I don't know what's possible just yet. But I do know that with a group that's strong and stays together, that's unified, there's a lot we can do. And I'm willing to use whatever media platform I have, what I've earned, what I keep doing, to make sure we call attention to that. Whether it's a Juneteenth celebration, a boat ride with people that we trust and we look to for advice. We've got a combination of education, business people, folks that know a lot. Up here is David Libatique for the Port of Los Angeles. He's in charge of all stakeholder engagement. Jessica Batista, community relations. Aveen Sharma is in charge of workforce training and development, along with 3 other volunteer jobs he has at the port. He worked for U.S. Secretary of Labor Tom Perez, among others, in Washington, D.C. You got Mike DiBernardo, who's been a fixture here at San Pedro for generations. These are people that know what's going on from the port perspective. You folks know what's going on from community, from business, from education. The blend of those two, I think, can be very powerful. And what we do. I've been at this port now for 8 years. And I will tell you very humbly, I'm more socially aware than I've ever been in my 57 years on this earth. And it's because of living here, working here, understanding what's going on, and trying to learn just a little bit more each day. It's imperfect. There are folks who tell you there's no shortage of advice, no matter what job you do, no matter what occupation you have. And that's okay, because that means people care and they want to be engaged. And so that's what begins today. Don't know where it goes, but looking for advice. Don't know what opportunities may exist, but I'll tell you about a few. The city of Los Angeles employs 45,000 people through its 500 square miles. It's an opportunity to work primarily in a civil service doctrine career that can be just that, a career with rising momentum, great pension and benefits. It's an opportunity whether you've got a 4-year education or not, whether you aspire to higher degrees or not. It's something for everybody. At our harbor department, which is one of the proprietary interests of this city, we have 900 employees. We in the city, through Executive Order number 27 from Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti, have equity and equality built into how we hire. We at the Harbor Department of Los Angeles want to look like the city of Los Angeles. And we publish reports once a month to show our demographics, our education, who we are, what we do, our genders, and everything in between. And our goal is to look like this great city every day. We have a targeted local hiring program, so we can look at specific zip codes in need, underserved communities. That targeted local hiring program also has a re-entry component. So folks who may have been incarcerated that want to get back into the mainstream and want to work at whatever level, whatever discipline, can have that opportunity as well. So this is a framework, but it takes folks like us to figure out how to best implement real-life examples into that framework. Maybe the framework has to be massaged a little bit. Maybe it has to be looked at from a different lens sometimes. And that's why I say this is a start. And this is what we want to convey. This is not a one-and-done meeting. If you want to visit with me, my door is always open. It's not always taken advantage of, but it's there for you. I serve the public. If you want to sit down, talk, if you have ideas, if you want constructive dialogue, I'm always available, and so are these great people that work at the Port of Los Angeles. And it may not be for the port. It could be for another city entity. It could be for another business that does work with the city of Los Angeles. Joe talked about contracting and how we do. I get measured every year on how many businesses we contract with that are female-owned, that are minority-owned, that are black-owned. And we cut and slice every way we can to give as many an opportunity as possible. We're not just picking and choosing. We're trying to cover all the bases. And again, it's imperfect. We're trying to raise the bar every single week, month, and year. But again, I look forward to your advice and how you see things and how you want to do things. Again, there's a lot of things that I still have to learn on this job, but this is opportunity. These containers mean money. This money goes in a number of different ways. It goes to the environmental stewardship of this port, which no port in the world has been able to catch up to us, as imperfect as we are. It goes to jobs creation, where we have some 90 college students that work with us every summertime as interns. Mike DiBernardo, some 40 years ago, started off as a student worker, and now he's a deputy executive director. Tony Gioiello, the same. During the school year, we have about 60 students that work. So for the educators in the audience, if internships are interesting, we put mentors together with the students. We monitor their grades. We pay them anywhere from $18 to $25 an hour. Hopefully that pays for some meals and tuition and books, or possibly other ways to help get that education forward. So it starts here and it ends here. It's all about what this port can do for you, and it's my duty, I believe, while the spotlight is on us, to take that first big leap. And I'm flying without a net. It's okay. Here again, if something works, if we do one good thing today, and we do one good thing tomorrow, that's 2 we got going into the weekend. And that's okay with me. But I think today, we're going to show you around. This is 7,500 acres of property, 43 miles of waterway. It's the largest trade gateway in the Western Hemisphere. Let's take advantage of it. It's the reason we have restaurants and shops, dry cleaners, and places to go and congregate. We can go to the Warner Grand and see a show. It's all because of this port and the community that built it over the past 115 years. We've got to pay it forward. We've got to find a way to do things and do things maybe a little sharper than we've done them before, maybe a little more sensitive than we may have come across, or anywhere in between. So I'm happy to take any questions folks have, any comments or any advice. Wanda?
I'd like to say thank you, Gene, for coming out here and doing this. I've been down here since we I've been here quite a while. I was at the port. So to see something like this, to see you, director, to come here to speak to us regarding including flags on the waterfront, it means a lot. It means the world. Because like I said, I was part of the structure, and I know the time when we weren't part of the structure here. And but to see the director to say, hey, you all are going to be part of it now. You all are prepared to invest in, and I'm going to see that this happens. It feels good. And I'm glad to hear you say it, hear you, the director, say it. It makes me real good.
No, those are great comments, Wanda. And again, you know, part of what I've learned over these 8 years, I came from the private sector, so it was all about company and working and building your career. I worked overseas for 11 years. I've worked in 50 countries. I know a little bit about my business. But now I finally understand this draw to public service. And while I'm seen primarily as a businessman, I'm responsible for other areas and other people. And that responsibility runs deep. When COVID-19 hit Los Angeles, the mayor asked me to be the chief logistics officer for the city. Okay, great, that sounds good. His goal was very simple. Let's get things like these masks and these gloves out to our frontline medical workers. This was in March of 2020. Levine and David raised their hands right away to be volunteers away from their regular jobs. Mike and Jessica helped out on a team of about 24. I didn't know what we were going to do next, but we started looking around and trying to see things. There was a hospital right up in Lakewood that was sending out its staff to go to the Vons grocery store and buy hefty bags. They were cutting holes in the hefty bags and wearing them as gowns because they couldn't find gowns for their nurses and doctors to greet COVID patients. You want to talk about starting to cry as a grown man? That's what got us motivated. These were small community hospitals, even the big ones, Cedars-Sinai, and everybody else had trouble getting these masks and everything else that they needed. And we jumped into action. We used our relationships in the shipping and manufacturing business. We bought 22 million N95 masks at the best price in the United States and gave them at cost to these hospitals. Today, after all that work over 19 months, we've distributed more than 10.5 million units of PPE to 250 Los Angeles area hospitals and healthcare facilities. No matter what community they were in, no matter who they served, it was our devotion to that medical community that drove our business. We got donations from big companies like Toyota and Apple Computer. Those donations went out the door for free to all these hospitals as well. And then we gave masks and gloves to our truck drivers who were predominantly independent, to our longshore members who weren't looked after, to the farm workers in the Central Valley. That's what giving in public service means to me. We were thrown right into the middle of it. We had never seen this before. I had lived in China during SARS, so I had a little bit of an idea, but this was 50, 100, 200 times bigger than what that was 20 years ago. But it was the spirit of this harbor department, the leadership of the mayor, and people in the community that recognized with a little bit of momentum, we could do some great things. And so it's on that platform that I stand before you today, seeing how we can help and what we can do. I don't want to fight with anybody. I want to collaborate, I want to talk, but I can also debate. If you have a point of view that's not mine, I'm all ears. As long as it's constructive on the computer for a logistics company. It could be someone in manufacturing. In Los Angeles County is still the largest manufacturing base for employment in the country, with about 390,000 employees. And there's on, many more permutations from there. So here again, whatever the opportunity may be, whatever the interest is, what I'd like you to take home tonight is this port has a lot of jobs and they're really diverse. They could have skill sets from somebody who just got their GED all the way up to a PhD. But there's something for everybody here, and it doesn't matter. Let's give it a shot and try to start segmenting what's possible and what's of interest. And that segment just means how we got to work differently and how we got to bring people together. It's not about pushing people to the side or bringing somebody different in. It's just simply trying to be smarter about who has interest or creating interest. Now, the other flip side to this is we've got, even in our council districts here in Los Angeles, many of them are about 250,000 constituents through the 15 council districts in LA. That's bigger than many congressional districts throughout the United States. This is a big town, right? So how about we flip the table a little bit and say, look at this potential employment base to all these companies that do business around this port. So it's not just companies putting up help wanted signs and seeing who's going to come in, but it's about showcasing the people that we have that might be interested in doing work for these types of companies. And they could be nonprofits, they could be startups, they could be long-time companies like these terminals, or anywhere in between. So that might be a different twist that we can present because of the sheer and vast population we have, the hunger for people that want to go out and get jobs, that want opportunity. Let's showcase that talent to these companies as opposed to waiting for them to come to us. And again, just some starter ideas that maybe has some momentum we can build up.
That sounds good, Gene. Let's show our towns.
Yeah, show off a little bit. Let's see. We got a lot of people out here that could be really, really interesting to these companies. And then Amin is working as our lead on the nation's first workforce training and development center that's geared to ports and goods movement, supply chain, and logistics. Believe it or not, in the most developed country in the world, the #1 economy, we don't have a training center for stuff that goes on like this around ports. But we've started to put a blueprint together, and again, with his acumen and his experience in the U.S. Labor Department, working for leaders like Tom Perez, all this vision is starting to come true. We're going to donate about 20 acres of land and a substantial amount of cash from the Los Angeles Harbor Department to be met with in-kind investment from the private sector, the people who employ workers around here, in addition to the new infrastructure bill and the money that can come from Washington as well as Sacramento on building a $150 million workforce training and development center. And it's welcome to all. We've got to figure out how we get from here to there. We also know that the Longshore Group is probably the biggest single populace of worker here, and that's okay. But what if it's a person who wants to learn how to drive one of the big rigs? What if it's a person who wants to learn those computer programs that all these logistics companies use now, or anything in between? There'll be office space, there'll be safe working area where someone can learn how to drive a truck or a crane. Today, most of that training happens on these live terminals. And with all this cargo moving through here for an apprentice or somebody new to go work and train at the same time, it's dangerous. You got people trying to move cargo, trying to get the goods over to Walmart and Target. We need to make sure that people who want to come into industry in a safe and secure environment to train. So that's the vision there. We need investment both on the public and private side. We also need to figure out that we're not going to replace training curriculum that's already ingrained in our community colleges, in our 4-year schools, at the Carpenters location in Orange County, the IBEW in the City of Commerce. It's meant to be parallel or to be additive to that, where we can fit the bill. We've been working with 11 different units of organized labor. We've been working with folks who are unorganized. Could it be a young person that wants to come in off the street and say, hey, I don't know much about ports, but I'd like to learn. Is this a place I can come and learn about that? Love to see that too, right? But we got to start somewhere. In the great 50 states in the U.S., there is nothing like this, so we're starting with a pretty fresh blueprint, but we got some really smart people around it. We'll need more people from the community to give us that advice on how best we can run these different segments. From the guy who knocks on the door to an organization that really wants to move in the direction of trucking or logistics